All right, so you know how most deep dives into Twilight tend to, focus on like Bella and Edward and Jacob?
Right.
Well, this time, we thought we'd take a closer look at Renee Dwyer, Bella's mom.
Yeah.
I feel like the supporting characters always have like a lot more going on than we realize at first.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So like, what do you say? Are you ready to uncover some hidden depths?
Absolutely. I'm all in. Renee's character is so interesting. Even though she's not always physically there in the story,
Right.
she actually embodies like this anti-vampire philosophy. It's really cool.
Okay, wait, anti-vampire. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. Vampires are all about permanence, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like forever and unchanging.
Exactly. Frozen in time. And Renee, on the other hand,
Yeah.
she's constantly on the move, always embracing new experiences, always chasing the sunshine, that transient life, the kind that vampires reject.
Right.
That's what she thrives on.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it like that, the contrast is like super striking.
Yeah.
Just think about how she feels about forks. Like the gloomy weather. It's like a metaphor for the vampire lifestyle.
Right, totally. It's like Forks is the opposite of everything she stands for.
And it's not just forks. She moves around so much, right?
Yeah.
Always looking for something new.
Yeah, she's not afraid of change. It's like she craves it. It's almost like she's rebelling against the whole idea of living forever.
That's such an interesting point. And it makes her relationship with Charlie even more fascinating.
How so?
Well, he's the opposite. He's so grounded.
Yeah, I see what you mean. He's like rooted in Forks.
Exactly. Two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. And Bella grew up going back and forth between those two worlds.
Right.
Do you think that affected her in any way?
I think it definitely raises some questions about Bella's own desire for stability and control.
Oh, yeah, totally.
We see it in her relationship with Edward, maybe growing up with Renee, who was always on the go. Maybe Bella subconsciously looked for that sense of permanence that her mom couldn't give her.
That's a really good point. So Bella finds that in Edward, who, as a vampire, is like the definition of permanence.
Exactly.
So is it possible that Bella's choosing a life that totally goes against everything her mom believes in?
It's definitely something to think about, especially when you notice how Renee is basically absent from Bella's life once she becomes a vampire.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost like the story saying there's just no space for Renee's free spirit in this new immortal life that Bella's chosen.
I never thought about it like that before.
Yeah, it makes you think about anyone who's listening to, right?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever felt that pull between different influences in your own life? Like those times when you're trying to figure out what happiness or stability should look like for you?
Totally. It's like this internal battle.
Yeah. Renee and Bella's relationship really makes you think about that, huh?
It does. And you know what else is interesting? Meyer seems very deliberate in how she portrays this unconventional kind of mother-daughter relationship.
What do you mean? Well, she doesn't give us the typical doting mom or the completely absent one. Renee loves Bella, but she also prioritizes her own happiness and her own journey. It's messy and imperfect, but it feels real.
It does. And that's what makes it so relatable, I think. Most families aren't picture perfect, right?
Exactly. They're dynamic and complex.
And Meyer isn't afraid to explore those complexities.
Not at all, even in a fantasy world like Twilight.
Yeah. This whole conversation is making me see Renee in a new light. Like, she's not just Bella's mom. She's her own person with her own goals and desires. It's almost like she's a foil to Bella.
Yeah, I see that.
Renee represents constant change, never settling down. And then there's Bella, who chooses this, like, unwavering commitment and permanence.
It's fascinating how Meyer uses these two characters to explore these different approaches to life. It's almost like she's saying, there's no one right way to be a woman, a mother, or even just a person.
And it's like they each embody a different aspect of freedom. Like Renee is free to explore and evolve, while Bella finds freedom in making this huge commitment and choosing her own destiny, even if it means immortality.
That's a great way to put it. It's about finding what works for you and creating your own path, which is a powerful message, especially for young adults.
Totally. And this is just scratching the surface of Renee Dwyer.
It is. There's so much more to unpack.
I can't wait to dig even deeper. What should we explore next?
Well, there's that interesting connection between Renee's free spirit and Bella's artistic side. We haven't even touched on that yet.
Oh, that's right. Let's delve into that in the next part of our deep dive.
That's good. I'm curious to see what other hidden layers we can uncover.
I bet you are too. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about how Renée Dwyer is like not your average Twilight mom.
Right.
She's got that whole anti-vampire thing going on and she's always on the move.
Yeah.
But there's this other side to her that I find really interesting. Her influence on Bella's artistic side? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's something that often gets overlooked, but
Yeah.
it's definitely worth exploring. Renee is an artist herself.
Oh, yeah, she's a painter.
Exactly. And she really encouraged Bella's love of reading and writing when she was younger. It's like she passed on that creative spark.
Yeah, it makes you think about how Bella's always drawn to, like, classic literature. Even before she meets Edward.
Right.
Stories about love and loss. Who else would have given her that appreciation for books besides Renee?
It had to be her. She might not have always been physically present,
Right.
but her influence is like woven into Bella's personality. And it's not just about enjoying art, it's about creating it too.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember how Bella tries to write her own stories?
Uh-huh.
There's even that scene where she's writing a vampire story before she even knows they're real.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
It's like Renee's influence set the stage for Bella's whole journey before she even got to Forks.
Wow, that's a really cool way to look at it.
And it's like Bella's fascination with the darker side of things, love and all that.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was sparked by her mom's artistic side. Like Renee might paint on canvas, but she gave Bella this love of painting with words, creating stories that explore all those deep emotions.
That's a really interesting thought. And then isn't it interesting how Bella ends up documenting her experiences with Edward?
Right.
She literally writes their story, preserves it forever.
She does. It's like she's combining her mom's creativity with that vampire obsession with permanence.
Exactly. It's like she's finding a middle ground,
Yeah.
A way to honor both parts of herself.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it makes you wonder if that's what Meyer was going for all along. Like maybe she wanted to show that we can find our own path by blending all those different influences in our lives, even the ones that seem like total opposites.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really speaks to the power of art too, right?
It does, like how it can bridge the gaps and help us find meaning even when things feel chaotic.
Totally. So like Renee found her way through painting.
Uh-huh.
And Bella finds hers through writing.
Exactly. Two different forms of expression, but both rooted in that same creative spirit.
This is making me realize how much depth there really is to Renée Dwyer.
Me too.
We tend to see her as just a minor character,
Right.
but she's actually a driving force behind some of the most important themes in Twilight.
She really is. Her influence is subtle, but it's definitely there.
And it challenges how we think about motherhood, too.
So,
Well, like what it means to be a role model and the impact we can have on others, even when we're not physically present.
it's a good reminder that influence isn't always about being close to someone. Sometimes the people who shape us the most are the ones who give us the space to figure ourselves out.
Yeah. And who encourage our curiosity and creativity.
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes those things lead us down paths we never could have imagined.
Like Bella's path to a world of vampires and eternal love.
Right.
But speaking of Bella's transformation, there's one thing we haven't talked about yet.
What's that?
Renee's almost complete absence from Bella's vampire life.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It's like all of a sudden Renee's free spirit just disappears from the story.
It does. Once Bella enters this world of permanence, it's a pretty stark contrast to how close they were before.
Definitely. It makes you think about all the sacrifices that come with immortality.
Right, like Bella gets this whole new family and this new life,
Mm-hmm.
but she loses something too.
It makes you wonder if that was Meyer's intention. Like, did she want to show that even the most incredible love stories have a price?
That's an interesting thought. It adds another layer to Renee and Bella's relationship too.
In what way?
Well, it's not just about them making different choices.
Yeah.
It's about this gap that opens up between them once Bella becomes a vampire. Like it can't be bridged.
It's almost tragic in a way, but it also makes you wonder, what if Renee hadn't been absent? What if she had been more involved in Bella's vampire life?
Ooh, now that is a question I would love to explore.
Yeah,
What if things had been different? How would their relationship have changed?
that's a great question for the next part of our deep dive.
We could dive into all those possibilities. I think it's going to be a fascinating conversation. What do you think?
I'm definitely ready to explore those what ifs. I always love thinking about the different ways a story could have gone.
Well, get ready because we're about to rewrite Renée Dwyer's role in the Twilight Saga. Stay tuned. All right, so we've been like really digging into Renée Dwyer.
We have.
And now I want to play with this big what if,
Okay.
What if she had been around more in Bella's vampire life?
Oh, interesting.
Would they have found some kind of common ground? Or would all their differences just like push them even further apart?
It's such a good question. Imagine Renee. You know?
Yeah.
The woman who, like, lives for sunshine and new experiences,
Right.
suddenly she's got a daughter who's chosen eternal night and a life full of secrets.
Talk about a culture clash. Like
Mm.
Renee's whole philosophy is about embracing change and, that fleeting beauty of human life.
Yeah.
And vampires are the exact opposite. Would she even be able to wrap her head around that?
It would definitely challenge everything she believes in, but Renee's also incredibly adaptable.
Oh, that's true.
Think about how many times she's reinvented her life, moved around, started new relationships.
Yeah.
Who's to say she couldn't adapt to Bella's new reality, even if it meant pushing her own boundaries?
Good point. And think about what Bella would gain by having her mom around.
Yeah.
Okay, so she has this new vampire family,
Right.
but that bond between a mother and daughter is, like, irreplaceable.
You're right. It could have given Bella that sense of grounding, a link to her human life.
Totally. Like, becoming a vampire means leaving behind everything you knew.
It does.
Having Renee there could have made that transition easier, even if they didn't always agree.
I think so. It could have been a source of strength for both of them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Renee learning to accept Bella's choices, and Bella finding comfort in her mom's love no matter what.
It wouldn't have been easy, but can you imagine the growth they could have gone through together?
Yeah, their understanding of each other could have deepened so much. It would have added a whole new layer to the story.
I can picture it now. Like Renee challenging all the vampire rules,
Yeah.
bringing in some of her free spirit.
I bet she'd try to organize like a sunshine day for the Cullens.
Oh, my God. With picnics and games.
Maybe even convince them to take a vacation somewhere tropical.
Right.
Yeah.
But seriously, though, Renee's presence could have shown the emotional side of Bella's sacrifice.
How do you mean?
Well, imagine them having these, like, heart-to-heart talks about the human life Bella left behind.
Yeah, that would be intense. It would have been so powerful to see Bella wrestling with those feelings.
Totally. Like, facing those what-ifs and regrets.
Uh-huh. It would have made her choice to become a vampire feel even more meaningful.
And for Renee, too. Like, seeing her daughter pick this path so different from her own.
Yeah.
It would have forced her to really think about her own values, what she believes in.
It could have been a huge turning point for both of them.
What if Renee became like a bridge between the human world and the vampire world?
Oh, wow.
Helping them understand each other.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. With her open mind and her ability to connect with people,
Right.
she could have played a key role in breaking down those barriers.
It would have added so much depth to the whole Twilight universe.
It really makes you think about all the stories that haven't been told,
Uh-huh.
the potential that even the smallest characters have.
That's what I love about books.
Me too.
They make us use our imagination, see things from different angles.
And they leave us with questions that stick with us long after we're done reading.
Exactly. Like with Renée Dwyer, we start to see that every character has a story to tell.
Even the ones we think we know.
Well, I don't know about you, but this deep dive has totally changed how I see Renée Dwyer.
Same here.
She's more than just Bella's mom,
She is.
She's this force of nature, a symbol of change, someone who reminds us that there's no right way to live.
I couldn't agree more. And I hope everyone listening has gained a new appreciation for her character.
Me too. She has such a huge impact on the Twilight saga.
She does.
So next time you reread Twilight, pay attention to Renée Dwyer.
Yeah, she might surprise you.
You might even find yourself imagining those what-if scenarios.
Just exploring the possibilities.
The paths not taken. Until next time, keep diving deep.